אור כשלמה, נוטה שמיים קרירה, הקרב במים עליותיו, הסמבים רכובו, המהלך על כנפי רוח, עושה מלאכיו רוחות, משרתיו ואש לוהט, יסד ארץ על מכוניה, בתימות עולם ועד.
Shalom. Thank you for joining in. We'll be lighting candles in just a moment. Perhaps you have candles at home and you'll light along with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadanir shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Lord our God, creator of the universe, who has brought holiness into our lives by commanding us to light the Shabbat flames. In a moment we shall begin with the Shalom Aleichem, but a reminder, we have a special guest joining us this evening. We are a member of an Institute, the Institute of Southern Jewish Life. It's a network of synagogues and temples all across the Deep South. There are 70 congregations in this network, and Julian Cohen, who visited us back in December, is here for the weekend. He'll be participating in services tonight and tomorrow as well, and he just helped us conduct a discussion session the other night on Tuesday. We're always pleased to have some young, exciting, engaged educators joining in. And so Julian will be leading the first part of the service, announcing the pages, and that's called Kabbalat Shabbat, the introductory part of the service. And I'll continue on at the Borchu after Julian concludes. It's a pleasure to introduce to members of our synagogue and beyond, Julian Cohen of the Institute of Southern Jewish Life.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Julian Cohen. I am your ISJL Education Fellow for this year, and I'm so excited to be back here with you tonight for my spring visit. I'm going to be leading Kabbalat Shabbat tonight, and we begin our service on page 5 with the singing of Shalom Aleichem. This psalm was traditionally sung at the Shabbos table, and it imagines the Talmudic legend where two angels would walk back with you as you walked home from shul, as your protection and to bless your table. And we sing that imagining now. Page 5. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Boachem leshalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Barchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We turn now to page 11 for Lacuna Ranana, the first psalm in our Kabbalat Shabbat service today. We sing our praises and our love to Adonai. And we read together in the left-hand column on page 11 where it says pilgrimage. May we understand our days to be a pilgrimage in time, from the 6 days of the work week to the experience of a day of rest, a holy time. The generation that left Egypt and wandered in the wilderness never reached their destination, the place of God's rest. But every Friday evening, we have the opportunity to make the journey anew. This time with an openness that will enable us to truly enter the land and come close to the divine. Arba'im shana kulbedo, ve'omaram toev lebavhem, vehem lo yadu dorachai, asher nishmati v'api, im yevonun el menuchati. We sing Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, sing to Adonai a new song on page 13. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Meyom Liyom Yeshuato, Sapru Vagoyim Kevodu, V'chol Ha'amim Nifot, Havaya Ki Gadol Adonai, U'mehulal Me'od, Norahu al kol Elohim, ay ki kol Elohe, hamayim alelim va'adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hada lefanavos tiferet v'mikdasho, havu ladonai mishpechot amim, havu ladonai kavod v'ozayai, havu ladonai kavod shemo, zumin chavivo, v'chot throt havai, Ishtachavu ladonai behadrat kodesh chilu mapanav ki kol haaretz, imru vagoyim adonai malach, aptichon tevel bal timot, yedin namim b'meisharim, yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz, ayayiram hayam, Umelo Ya'adol Sadai V'chol Asher Bo Ay Az Yeraninu Kol HaTeva Ya'ar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Haaretz Yishpot Hevel B'tzedek Ve'amim be'emunato Yada 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 yada. We turn to page 20 for Romimu. And Romimu is, again, this whole section is about exalting God, and the text of Romimu reads, Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. We sing. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romimu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romimu. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. We turn to page 21 for the singing of Psalm 29. This psalm is called a Psalm of David, and David is said to have written a lot of the Psalms in our book of Psalms. and the psalm in particular is again calling upon the voice and the might of Adonai. So we sing on page 21. Mizmor leDavid, Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, Havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, Ishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod yirim, Adonai el mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Meshaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Ve'arkidim kemo egel, Levanon v'shiron kemo ben reimim, Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel al yalod, Ve'echesof ya'arod, Uvchelo kemo omer kavod, Adonai lemabul yashav v'yeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. Adonai will grant strength to God's people. Adonai will bless them with peace. We come now to the moment where we welcome the Sabbath bride, the centerpiece of Kabbalat Shabbat, the singing of Lecha Dodi on page 23. And this tune might be a new tune for some of you. It's by an up-and-coming composer named Josh Warshawski. He's a prolific songwriter, and this in particular is one of my favorite tunes of his, so I'm happy to share it with you today. And we'll be singing verses 1 through 3 and the last 2 verses. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lecho v'necha, ki mekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech menucha, kumitzei mitoch havacha. Rav lach shevet be'emek ba'acha, v'hu yachamol alai chemla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Yamim u'shmot tifrotzi, ve'et Adonai tabutzi. Hayadish ben parti v'nismecha v'nagila lecha dodi likra kala pene Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala pene Shabbat nekabela. Please rise. Ovi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzola toch emunei am segula bo'i chala lecha dodi likrat kahala pene Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. We welcomed in the Sabbath bride, and now it's time to sing the psalm of the day, the psalm of Shabbat. Each day has a psalm, and they're all what the priests would sing in the temple leading up to Shabbat. And that's what they were. At the top of each psalm you have, this is the psalm that was sung in the temple on the third day until Shabbat. And now we've come to the psalm for Shabbat. We are going to read together on page 27 and 28, and then join together in the Hebrew at the red arrow. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and to sing your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladdened me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand, the fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. Tzadikata yifrach ke'erez bavanon iskeh shetulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun b'seva deshenim v'rananim iyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri tzuri velo avlataba. Before we continue with our service, I'd like to take a few moments to share some words with you about Kabbalat Shabbat and about how we enter a holy space. So, Kabbalat Shabbat is my favorite service in the entire Jewish liturgy, hands down. I love the singing, I love the calm that settles over the room, and most of all, I love the way that it prepares me to enter the holy time and space of Shabbat. Kabbalat Shabbat is my way of preparing for Shabbat, and I want to tell you a story about the most transformative experience I've ever had attending a service. So I studied abroad in London my junior year of college, and I was looking for a shul to attend for services for Friday night. And I just so happened to run into a friend back home who also happened to be studying abroad through a different program. And she told me about this amazing shul and invited me to come with her to services that Friday night. So we went. And we were going along in the service. I knew all the tunes, I knew all the prayers that we were singing, and then they started singing Tzaddik Amar, so on and so forth. And I had never heard the prayer before. It wasn't something I grew up saying. But in that moment, just sitting back, not knowing the words, and letting the sound wash over me unlocked a sense of deep peace inside my soul. They split into the most exquisite harmonies. I thought it was everyone in the congregation doing it. Later did I come to find it was just one family who happened to be very, very musical. But it was, the most incredible sound, and it seemed to me in that moment like the walls of the sanctuary were lined with angels singing to welcome in Shabbat. It was truly a mind-blowing experience that got me thinking about how we enter holy moments. Now, Abraham Joshua Heschel writes about this idea in his book, The Sabbath. He writes, "The Sabbath is the presence of God in the world, open to the soul of man. God is not in things of space, but in moments of time." What he means by this is that when we enter Shabbat, we are entering into a holy time not defined by the space it takes up, but rather by the consistency of it. Every week, entering a period of time that becomes holy based on what we bring to it. I agree with Heschel that Shabbat becomes sanctified by our actions, because if we treated Shabbat like any other day of the week and conducted business like normal, it wouldn't be the day of rest. So for me, this raises the question, how do we set Shabbat apart from the rest of the week? How do we prepare and how do we enter into Shabbat? What actions can we take to make Shabbat holy? It doesn't have to be observing all of the laws of Shabbat if that's not what makes the day feel holy for you. But perhaps it is turning off your phone or taking a walk. What is important is that we keep in mind the difference between this day and the rest of the week. One of my favorite ways to keep Shabbat is to make a nice meal for my family on Friday night and then play board games after dinner. The biggest thing is that we try to spend time together in a way that we don't get to during the rest of the week. As for how we enter Shabbat, I would like to challenge each of you to find your Tzaddik Tamar moment. Finding the way that you connect to the Sabbath and how you prepare yourself for entering into a holy time may mean setting time aside on Friday to cook, or it might be as simple as declaring aloud that Shabbat has arrived. But whatever it may be, I hope that you all have the opportunity to create your own holy moments. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Julian. Thanks for joining in. It's a pleasure to have Julian here. I get nachas. I get a sense of pride and joy from Julian's passion for supporting Jewish people and for him to make the effort to join in with us in spite of the confusion right now with the COVID is very meaningful. And we should all remember that there are many other colleagues. Julian is one of a total of 10 young people, and they have a far-flung touch upon Jewish people throughout the Deep South. And he explained beautifully how Kabbalat Shabbat is the preliminary, the intro, the warm-up to the main part of the service. And now it's Borchu, and we say the word Borchu a lot, but it's time to remember what the word Borchu means. Borchu has the suffix u. Anytime you hear the sound u in Hebrew, 99% of the time, you can know that it is a speaker addressing a community. So Borchu means all of you and members of the community that are here say or do Baruch. Baruch plus U is Borchu. We know the Shema, if we said it in the plural, we'd say Shimu, Godlu, Kadeshu, Hallelu, like Hallelujah. Please rise now for the Borchu. Without having a community gathered, we couldn't do the Borchu. You're essential to our being together and our convening us within this framework of being present. The Borchu on page 39b. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Voed. You may be seated. The first bracha on page 39b. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space. You completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest in all its holiness to your people Israel. Creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El chai v'kayom, tamidim lo chaleinu lo amboed. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim. On page 40, the bracha is entitled Ahavat Olam, which means God's eternal love, infinite and forever. On the left-hand side of the page, there is a meditation that calls out to me. It's the first meditation, the lower two small stanzas. At the circus, I saw a man tame a tiger, defang a snake. Would you, O God, make me so skilled? Bless me with patience. Make me strong as steel, that I might demonstrate to humanity the same such wonders. Each one of us is an ambassador for bringing love and respect into the world. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Join me in the Shema on page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayo hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha u'kishartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot ben inecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'sharecha. A moment of silence on page 42, or a thought about the importance of bringing love into the world. When we speak of the word love, we're not talking about candy and flowers like on Valentine's Day. We're talking about appreciating each and every human being as infinitely precious, as the handiwork of God. It's honor and respect and love. And we as Jews are obligated, we're duty-bound to testify, to bring that into life every single day. Mi chamocha on page number 44 on the Hebrew side. Mi chamocha poelim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norati lot osefele malchutecha ra'ovanecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe zeli anu v'yamro Adonai imloch leolam va'ed v'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo mi'ad chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai gal Yisrael. In a moment on page 45, the Hashkivenu on the English side. Tonight, intermixed within these words of prayer, we are calling forth our own prayer for all those people who have been deeply troubled, their homes torn asunder by the terrific storms throughout Texas and elsewhere. And we've seen literally millions of people without power, tens of thousands of homes damaged, hundreds of thousands of people without food and water. And thankfully, there is progress being made, but there's still so much yet to do. So we are sending our prayers from Mobile to all those affected by these terrible storms and all the cold elsewhere across of our nation. And we say, Hashkivenu, oh God, help every single one of us to lie down in peace. Tonight on the English side, we say, Hashkivenu, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us all to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us all your canopy of peace. Restore us all with your good counsel, and save us all for the sake of your name. Shield us all. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us all. Shelter us all in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us all. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us all your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem and everyone. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. And now Vishamru, the top of page number 46. This is a melody by Craig Taubman.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת Yamin Asa Adonai Et Hashamayim Ve'et Haaretz. Uvayom Hashvi Shabbat Vayinafal Shabbat Vayinafal Vishamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat Ledorotam Beritolam Vishamru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat Lidorotam Beritolam Vishameru B'nei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat Lidorotam Beritolam.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Amen. Be'alma divrach v'timchute b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael bagala bagala uv'izman kariv v'imero, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach La'olam Li'olmei Almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitparvim V'yinaseh V'yidadar V'yidale V'yidhalal Shmei Dekudesha Brechu Leila Min Kol Berchata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Ba'alma V'imero, Amen. If you have a siddur and you enjoy the traditional Amida, it's found here on pages 47 through 52. If you're inclined to offer your own private prayer, perhaps interweave within your own prayer thoughts of those affected by these colossal storms, and also a prayer of gratitude for those who are safe or regaining their homes, keeping both and all of these needs in our thoughts and in our hearts. We rise, if so able, a few moments of silent prayer. In a moment, the Kaddish Shalem on page number 54. If you're still davening, please continue on. Yitkara v'yitkara shemei Rabbo, Amen. Be'alma divrachot yimeru, Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbo mevarach, Olam li'olmei almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbarach v'yitbarach shmei kudesha b'rechu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tishbachata v'nechamata, Dam miram b'yom avimero, Amen. Titkabel tzlchsimero, Amen. Yesh tzlchsimero, Amen. Osesh lo mermomav v'yasesh shalom l'chsimero, Amen. And prior to the Aleinu, we'll be making Kiddush. If you have a glass of wine, you're invited to stand up and join us for the Kiddush on page 55. And after Kiddush, we'll be making the Hamotzi. And if you don't have a glass of wine, maybe next time you'll join in with a glass of wine. Kiddush is on page 55. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshana b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yava uv'ratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maseh v'reshit Ki hu yom techila lamikra kodesh zecher litziad Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta V'yotanu kidashta Mikol amim V'shabbat kodshecha B'yava v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We have had recently a few people begin to send us little video recordings of the Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat, saying the blessing of the candles. And if you'd like to do so, please feel free just to take a little recording on your cell phone, send it to me, email or text, and we'll incorporate lighting the Friday night candles from your home within our shul. If you're so inclined to perhaps sing the Shalom Aleichem, or maybe the Aleinu, or the Friday Night Kiddush. Send it to us, and we'll incorporate it, and we'll continue to bring each other into our shared tefillah, our shared prayer service. The Aleinu is on page number 56. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, Shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adama Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'goraleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Noteh Shamayim V'Yoser Haaretz U'Moshav Yekarav HaShamayim Imal U'Shchinatu Zo Begavei Meromim Hu Eloheinu ein od. Emet Malkeinu Evesulato, Kakatu B'Torato, V'yadata Yom V'Shevota Elavavecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, B'Shamayim Imal, V'Al Mitachat Ein Od. Enon. Kakatu b'Toratecha, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'nemar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yihye Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. We remember our loved ones this Shabbat with Kaddish. And if you know of someone who recently died and you wish to include that person's name, please feel free to mention that person's name aloud in your own home at this time. As a shul, we remember with great love Morris Muchnick, Dora Camille, Milton Lay, Bertha Abrams, Hyman Rips, Shirley Schwartz, Louise March, Morris Lehman Mayer, Isidore Prince, Mendel Max Muchnick, Nathan Lawrence Sibley, Nathan Ned Aronson Jr., Henry Miller, Molly Silver, Sue Goldstein, L. Joseph Schwartz, Anna Witzer, Rose Abrams Lubell, Elizabeth Cohen, Rebecca Rips Gerwich, Miriam Mitzenmacher, Helen Williams, Sarah Einstein, Dr. Norman S. Lichtenfeld, Mr. Bob Topper, Esther Loeb, Eli Schneiderman, Herbert Moore, Herbert Zuckerman, Morris Meyer, Morris Plotka, Solomon Sadowski, Kenneth Siegel, Marvin Zivitz, Ben Hershkovitz, Esther Robinson, Murray Maisel, and we remember with love those whom we recently have lost: Ronnie Hoffman, Jerry Olinsky, Madeline Eplin. We extend our condolences to Ellie and Barry Friedman. Ellie just lost her brother, Leonard Capiluto. Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Amen. Be'olma divara chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman karif v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam ul almei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'am miran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. The last two sentences of the Kaddish echo one another, and there are repeated references to shalom. That is our prayer for all of us, for those who are grieving and mourning, and for those who are able to be next to grievers and mourners. And the challenge right now, as we are apart, is upon us to step closer to those who are grieving and mourning in some way, and to let them know that they are loved and cared for and appreciated and respected. May we continue to bring our love and our peace to those in sorrow. We'll conclude in just a moment. A few quick reminders. Of course, services tomorrow from 10 to 11:15 or so in the morning, and we're excited because Julian Cohen of the ISJL will be joining in as well via remote. Tomorrow night, Havdalah is on Zoom, 7 o'clock, and if you don't have the passcode and you're interested, contact me, and I may be able to get it to you tomorrow just before the Havdalah service begins. And Sunday, our Sunday school families know this. We're doing something with the Sunday school families in Montgomery. We're on Zoom, and we'll be making Hamantashen together on Zoom. We're going to see how this works, but I think it looks like it's going to be fun. So Monday, Tanakh study is on Zoom from 12 to 1. Story time for toddlers at 5:30. Tuesday, the Spirit series continues on Zoom, and the topic at 5 o'clock is, of what are we ashamed, of what are we proud? That's the Spirit, the more meditative section that we do every Tuesday evening. Next Friday, oops, sorry, it's not on the list, it should be. Thursday is Purim, and at 6 o'clock, come on into the parking lot, find a space. We will have traffic cones separating cars, and those in costume, children and adults alike, will take turns walking up and down the sidewalk with social distancing. Everybody else will be in vehicles, will take turns, and there'll be some judging of costumes. And then we will do a very abbreviated Megillah with some music, all on Zoom, tying into the synagogue in Montgomery, Agudath Israel Eitz Chaim. So bring your smartphones. We do anyway, right? And you can watch the Zoom on your smartphone while you're in the car. And 6 to 6:45, but it'll be fun and different, and please wear a costume. We'll do something a little bit different this coming year. That's Thursday. Friday is Guitar Shabbat. Yehuda's going to be on the big Sanctuaries Bima. We're excited about that. And that's it for right now. We'll conclude this evening with our greatest prayer. This is a song. It's a melody to Oseh Shalom by Debbie Friedman, but it's sung by members of a shul in Atlanta.
Hallelujah.
all bring peace to one another until we see each other again.